Reading again for the night. That should be the new intro if I didn't just speak right now. Hello everyone, my name's Stonsey and welcome back to Reading with Stonsey. Today we are reading chapters 4 to chapter 5, pages 44 to 64. 20 straight pages. Not bad, not bad. It's just how it is sometimes in the reading industry. You get some easy episodes, you get some hard episodes, But in the end, we all have fun and no one watches. So it's all good. So, without further ado, let's begin. Chapter 4. Details make the difference. By the time I reached the top of the hill, my mind was quivering like jello. Turning to the setting sun, I begged, "Not yet. Please don't leave me alone in the monster. Stay a little longer. Please don't abandon me." "Moo," cried a distant cow, as if to say, "Stop whimpering and move your butt." And I did. I rushed down to the eastern slope of the beach, over the shallow hole, and I started banging the stone cliff with my digging stick. And suddenly it fell, my heart sank. It was taking forever, and I only tested the stick earlier, and I just assumed it worked. The soft moan floated in my air. Another zombie is coming. I jumped at the sound, dropped my stick, and looked frantically around. It was just like a lesson about not assuming. I also completely lost the mantra about drowned thought. I was in full panic mode now. A trapped rat waiting for the undead cat. Grr, came a louder, closer moan. I looked down for a stick. I was gone, maybe hovering close by, but in the growing darkness I couldn't see it. Grr, guarded the ghoul. I looked up at the hilltop and saw my foe. I reached to the bell for one of the other 3 sticks. My hand brushed at earthen cubes. Build, the zombie, was starting down the slope toward me. Something glinted the grass. A weapon? I raced a hovel around myself, slamming dirt blocks into the walls. Yes, I suppose I would have, and should have, just blocked away, backed up a hole. It would have been the quicker, easier choice. But the thought of being buried alive again, passively pinned up right against the grave, was enough to squeeze the air from my chest. The zombie was only 20 steps away. I jammed the door into place. 10 steps. I finished the walls and realized I didn't have enough dirt for the roof. 5 steps. I grabbed a wooden slab from the belt, throwing it up against the corner wall. It thudded an impact of a rotted foot. I slapped up slabs and wooden planks, one step ahead of a slouching ghoul. I fitted myself a last quarter plank, blotting out the stars, thinking I was safe. Then I heard the oof as the zombie hit the ground. Reeking, the fist began pounding at my door. Heart thumping, I retreated far against my far wall. Cold, hard stone pressed against my back. The door in front of me buckled. I could see dark, mini-cube cracks spreading across its surface. Another few blows and it would send it crashing down. "Fine," I barked. "You want to fight? Come on, let's do this." Stick in my hand, I waited for the door to splinter, and I waited and waited and waited, and then saw that the wood, just like stone, and just like me, could heal. I watched the zombie get within maybe a punch or two of breaking it thin, buckling barrier, before having to restart the whole process again. "Yeah," I taunted, "that's right. Now you know how I felt." Nodding at the proud rooster, I strutted over the door. "You ain't getting in," I sang. "You ain't getting in. Too close." The moldy arm shot through one of the open squares and socked me right in the throat. "Point taken," I coughed, staggering back. At least it didn't hit me with whatever it was in the other hand. From a safe distance, I tried to get a better look at the weapon. It wasn't easy, especially in the darkness of my hut. I thought I could see a long, thin wooden handle similar to any of my own sticks. Dim moonlight glinted out something at the end. It was flat, roundish, and tapered at the point. "That's a shovel," I exclaimed. "How'd you get a shovel?" And then quickly added, "How come I didn't get one?" I'm not ashamed to say I was jealous. After all of crafting I'd done, I'd made anything with the kind of tools that got me crafting in the first place. And now the very thing I wanted was outside my door. "That's not fair," I pouted. The zombie growled back, saying what I'm sure anyone would of me at the moment. "Life's not fair, and whining won't make it fair." "Yeah, well," I said, cooling down and squinting hard at the shovel. "But how'd you get one anyway?" The tool's head didn't look wooden. It was lighter, more reflective. "Is that metal?" I asked. The ghoul groaned. "Even if it is, it doesn't help me in here, does it?" But I squinted at the shovel again, studying it from a whole new angle. "But if this world lets you combine a wooden handle with something else to make it a head," I asked the zombie, "then why could the head also be made out of wood?" The zombie groaned again. I'm 99% sure that it sounded like a duh. Whipping out a crafting table, my original was still outside. I placed the stick in the center square and wood plank above it, and I got squat. This time the zombie moan sounded like laughter. "What'd you expect?" I shot back. "Instant success? Even if I had, I wasn't going to let my undead tormentor know that. You will almost never get something right the first time." I tried reversing the arrangement, stick above plank, and it came out with another big helping of bubbox. "But I'll get it," I reassured the ghoul. "I'm not giving up." I glanced again at the shovel, making sure I wasn't missing some minor important detail. I was. Closer look showed me that the shovel's handle was twice as long as my sticks. I moved the plank to the top center and placed 2 sticks below it. Woohoo! I howled as I had a queer duplicate of the zombie shovel. I snatched it from the air, whooped again, jumped into my victory dance, and probably banged my head in the low ceiling. Laugh it up, I told the zombie. Nothing's going to spoil this moment. I pointed the shovel's head in the dirt floor and scooped up the cube with a few quick swipes. Don't ignore the details, said. Details make the difference. I walked over to the back wall and gave the stone a whack. The wooden blade bounced off harmlessly. I just wanted to be sure, I said over my shoulder. If this thing works on dirt, then something else works on rocks. And then crafting table and got all my remaining planks. You don't have to be helpful crafting tips, do you? I asked the zombie how to make, I don't know, a hammer and a chisel or a steam drill. Dead eyes glared silently back. Never mind, I said, I got this. I made a couple more sticks and tried arranging them 2 planks before an upside down L. What I got was a tool similar to a shovel but longer and thinner, right-angled blade. What is this? I asked the zombie, showing it a strange implement. I thought I remembered seeing something like it back in my world, something to do with soil. I tried to use it on the shovel, digging up a block on the floor. It worked, but not as quickly. This world wouldn't give me 2 digging tools, would it? And why would one work better than the other? I tried using the whatchamacallit against the stone. It worked about as well as my fist. What's wrong with this thing? I grumbled, remembering how I felt to punch up grass with my new, frustrating hands. Lazy enough, reconnecting the feeling got me seriously thinking about how I use my body. It's like, I began searching with the words, it's like I'm in 2 different minds when I'm doing things. There's, I don't know, an aggressive punch mode and there's a more passive use mode. Does that make sense? The zombie said. I know it sounds ridiculous, like something you'd hear from a mountaintop guru and a little green swamp alien who could lift spaceship with his mind. But doesn't it kind of make sense? Trying to focus my thoughts, I held the strange device against the square on the dirt floor. Restraining the urge to swing it like a shovel, I concentrated on a careful thought. The tool swiped quickly, but gently across the bare top of the square, making a first layer of soil with it. Balanced, I declared. The survival requires nothing having both aggression and thoughtfulness, hot and cool, yin and whatever the other one's called. Point is to keep them in balance. Gurgled the cadaver. You should try it sometimes, I told it. The thoughtful part, I mean. It's just allowing myself to joke with a would-be killer and unlocked another memory of the tool. This thing's called a hoe. I finished the seeds out of my belt, the ones I tried so hard to plant and almost thrown away. I held them out to the soft, moist earth, and I just hoed. The seeds vanished in my hand, filling the soil square with lots of little green sprouts. Gardening, I trumpeted. And this was missing piece. That's why I couldn't plant the seeds yesterday. If they do grow in something edible, then I would have a renewable food source. Growled the ghoul, bashing harmlessly at the door. I'm sorry, what was that? I pretended to ask. Oh yes, you're right. This night is as sucky for you as it awesome for me. Because you're still stuck out there, doing the same thing over and over again. I just learned tool making and agriculture, which is, what, like a million years of human evolution in 10 minutes? I sauntered over the crafting table, and who knows, maybe by dawn I'll crack the code for a cold fusion. 3 seconds later, I made something even better than a nuclear reactor. A pickaxe, I announced, holding up the T-shaped triumph. And all it took was an entrant plank. Turning to the zombies in the back wall, I tore into the stubborn stone. Pickaxe worked like a dream, plopping out my first block in no time. Finally, I sighed, examining the freed rock. It wasn't a hole like the chunks of dirt. It looked more like cobbled together, like all the pieces had reformed. And now, I said, glancing back at the zombie shovel, let's see if I can improve my tools. I thought the world would let me combine the block of cobblestone and a fierce couple sticks and a stone tip shovel. Figuring out the rules, I crowed, and tried using it on the dirt floor, and stone tip worked even faster than the wooden version, which would only mean all the time for all the others. Picking out more cobblestone, I went right back to the crafting table. Hitting an upgrade, I grinned, gleefully crafting a cobblestone pickaxe. Just as I thought, a new implement tore through the cliff wall like a shovel through soft earth. I could really see where I was going. The deepening tunnel was too dark, and the constant flow of cobblestone into my backpack told me I was making serious progress. Now we're talking, I said, burrowing deeper and deeper into the hill. How does it feel, eh? I asked over my shoulder, knowing you're all the beasties were never gonna get in here. My answer came sharp, familiar, sharp, high, gah. Here we go, I said, stepping out of the pitch black hole into a growing light of the dirt hut. Though the few squares in my hole, I could see the rising sun and now burning zombie. So you do die at dawn, I said. I was a little sorry for dying ghoul. Gah, 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 I gasped, benching pink beneath a sheet of flames. Overcome by curiosity, I edged closer and closer towards the door. Oops, I said, as my feet accidentally uproot little shoots in the dirt floor. No matter, I thought as I jumped right back in my belt. I'll just replant them outside once the zombie... I didn't even think to finish my thought. The burning beast suddenly vanished in a puff of smoke. Chapter 5. Be grateful for what you have. I threw open the door just in time to see what the last of the smoke dissolve at my feet at just another pile of rotten flesh, and no shovel. Whether it would burn in its owner or vanish according to some rule of the world, I couldn't say. I also couldn't waste any minute mourning its loss. But this was going to be an awesome day. I could just feel it. Last night I turned the corner of the shelter, and now I was ready to kiss hunger goodbye. Wooden hoe in hand, I carried the seeds out to the patch of dirt near the shore. Just like before, they jumped right into my freshly tilled soil. And how long would it take before they ripened? No way to know. And how did they turn out to be edible? It makes sense to the plant a whole lot more. Punching other grass clumps around did zilch, so I decided to spend the morning scrounging. I climbed quickly up the slope of Disappointment Hill and tried to casually down the central meadow. I wasn't worried about any more zombies this time. I knew the dawn had taken care of them. A good start to a good day, I thought. Punching up all the tall grass, it wasn't long before I cleared up the whole field and had 3 handfuls of seeds to show for it. Moo came a call from the nearby woods, followed by a baa of 2 quick cluck-clucks. Hey, good morning, I waved to the animals. You guys would not believe the night I just had. Bounding happily together, I described my discovery of crafting and gave a show and tell of my tools. Cool, eh? I asked, expecting the usual disinterested glances. No, I get it, I said. You can just eat grass as is, but I gotta try planting these. I showed them some seeds. The cow and sheep shuffled away, but the chickens didn't, though. Their heads shot up in rapt attention. I asked, what do you want? I answered with enthusiastic clucking. These? I asked, showing them the seeds. Are these what you... I stopped just as a white oval object popped out from behind one of the birds. An egg, I shouted, switching out the seeds to a hand-sized ball. Now this has to be real food, right? I asked the chickens. I mean, why else did this world let you lay an egg if it wasn't allowed to? I noticed the birds were waddling away. Why was the suddenly lost interest? Hey, where are you going? I asked. Something I said? I looked away at the birds just in time to see a silent creature gliding between us. It was armless, legless, and with a green molted trunk and short, stubby feet. It all happened so fast. The crackling hiss, the smell of fireworks, the flashing vibrations, the creeping monster swelled like a balloon. The explosion knocked me backward, lifting me off my feet. Eyes burning, ears ringing, I flew through the air, splashing into the waist-deep water of the lagoon. Waves of pain crashed over me. Seared skin, cracked bones, pulled muscles from mangled joints. I tried to scream, but it collapsed into hacking coughs as one lung fought to overcome its punctured partner. I struggled to breathe, to move, and feel the lagoon's waters pulling me forward. Carrying me down, I blinked hard, clearing my vision, and stared at the blast crater I just washed into along with the loose chunks of sand and earth. Something else swirled into the water around me, the gruesome evidence of deep scrap of a cowhide, a red slab of beef, 2 bright pink bird bodies, and a single white feather were all was left of these 3 poor animals. As the wrecked scraps flew into my pack, I clambered dizzily out of the crater. Dazed in shock, I tumbled out of the hill. Knees wobbled, thighs burned. I staggered over the weaves of pulsing pain. How could I outrun more of these creeping bombs? I glanced behind me, tripped and crashed into the hard, bruising mass of tree. The impact sent shock waves radiating through my injuries. Cracked lips opened and others screamed, and this time they succeeded. A long, deep, anguished howl exploded from both, not one of my newly regenerating lungs, but it was hyper-healing. As walking became running, which became all-out sprint, I could feel the bones fusing and the veins sealing. I could feel my skin knitting together over the rapidly rejuvenating tissue. By the time I slammed the hut's door behind me, my broken body was nearly fixed. Nearly. With injuries still crying for help, I felt my hope be heating out. Food. I reached in my backpack for some apples. Only one left. Along with the animal remains, I scarfed down the apple, but it barely made a dent. Next, I reached for one of the whole chickens, devoured it with a pause or thought. Had anyone ever warned me about the dangers of eating raw poultry? Even if they had, would it have made any difference now? I wouldn't think about anything beyond health. I was too desperate to stop the pain. As soon as I swallowed the last bite of cold, rubbery meat, an eruption of nausea rose up of the churning stomach, and I retched, I gagged. I didn't even see green bubbles floating up across my tearing eyes. I ran out into the beach, trying to vomit out infected muck, but the world wouldn't let me. For a horrible, dry, heaving eternity, I had just stand there and take it. And if I was being assaulted by my own digestive tract, wasn't bad enough. I found the whole ordeal barely helped me heal. Insult to injury, I groaned. Still staggering in memory, I slowly peeked down into my pack. Okay, rest of the animal parts, I get it. You need to be cooked. Making a fire had just gone a possibility of priority, but as I mentioned before, I still had no idea how to do it. Racking my brain for some remembering hint, I came up to the notion of rubbing 2 sticks together. If food poisoning could carry over to this world, I reasoned, why not this? Well, why? Well, for starters, I wouldn't help but see 2 sticks in my hands. I would hold one in my right, but not in my left. Anytime I put something in my left hand, I immediately went into another of the small fall crafting tables. Great, I huffed, and then tried to keep going with 1 stick. All I ended up with burning this time was time. I could rub the stick against anything. All I could do was hit. At one point, I smashed a block of dirt out of the hut's wall, letting one more light, but also reminding me that the day was now halfway done. After sealing the hole in more dirt, I tried my last option, hitting stick against a plank of wood. I snorted as my stomach growled and my wounds seethed. Like it or not, I still have my chance of raw food. Passing over another chicken, I warily eyed the steak. Was it uncooked meat safe or just or just the kind of feathers. What if I wouldn't give at this moment? I thought, just for licensed food safety inspector. I lifted the meat up to my face, sniffing it like a dog. I tried to picture the beef would look like in my world, under glass in bright, chilly supermarkets, or steaming on a plate with veggies and mashed potatoes. I thought I recalled the inside of steaming steak in my mind. It was still pink, which had to mean it wasn't cooked all the way through. That image paused another powerful feeling cries to rise up deep in my gut. It wasn't nausea of the time, it was sadness. Without meaning to, I reminded myself how little I knew about myself. I couldn't picture anything past the steak on the plate, a table in a room, the faces of other people enjoying their dinner. Was I eating with my parents, my children, my friends? Was I eating all alone, like right now? The line was thinking of leading down a deep dark hole, and for sanity's sake I pulled my mind back to here and now. Okay, I told the slab of dead cow. Please don't make me want to puke, okay? I'll be okay with beef was better than chicken, maybe a little tougher, and rougher texture in the tongue, and it did have more tad of flavor. But what really mattered was, of course, was that I didn't get sick, and all my wounds finished healing. You wouldn't believe this new superpower had I recently almost been blown by bits barely a few minutes ago. How long would it have taken my world's medicine to put pieces back together? Hours in surgery, weeks in extensive care, and months, maybe even years of physical therapy. Not to mention all the necessary resources, the bandages, casts, and space-age machines, in the army of trained professionals to apply all those resources. And what would money pay those professionals? What if didn't have the money? Even my painted-on clothes had miraculously sewed themselves back together. Looking down at my self-repaired shoes reminded me of the story of a man who had taken no shoes, realizing how lucky he was when the man with no feet. Be grateful for what you have, I said, nodding my restored limbs. Grip growled my empty stomach, reminding me that while I might be whole again, I was right now mightily hungry. You'll just have to wait, I said, turning my nose up to the chicken and its egg, which, by the way, had somehow gone through an explosion without so much as a crack. The seeds, which had been caused by a whole near-death experience, I also survived the creeper attack. I planted them in the row behind my first cultivated square, all while hoping this wasn't a giant waste of time. As the last of the shoots rose in the cultivated earth, and sudden chill ran across my back. I looked up to see the sun just behind a dip below the western edge of Disappointment Hill. One of these days, I thought, heading for the heights, I gotta figure out how long these days are. I shivered again in the afternoon shade, confused by the sudden chill. Was the season changing? Had I not noticed the temperature drop at night? Neither of those hypotheses turned out to be true. It was a while until I understood what I was suffering from initial symptoms of starvation. For a moment I had considered climbing the hill and soak up some roaring rays, but from there I might spot a few more elusive apple trees. Another rifle shiver held me back, though, and this one came from fear. I had been caught up from the open twice already. Not again. Tonight I'd get indoors, well before the monsters came prowling. Today I'd been driven home and needed a bomb-proof bunker, and I thought this was going to be such a good day, I thought, shuffling gloomily back at the shack. The light outside my door was turning purple by the time I smashed over several more blocks of cobblestone. As on previous evening, the darkness of the cave made for slow going. I knew in my head the darkness couldn't hurt me, but by telling it to my heart, this fear wasn't rational. It was primal. The one I thought about knocking out a square in the wooden hut's roof and lit a patch of moonlight. When I pictured the patch darkening with a zombie or creeper literally dropping in. Keep going, I told my panicking arms. Dig it deeper, stronger, safer. While I made some decent progress, the monotony of mining only allowed my mind to wander. The empty darkness filled with shapeless threats. I could feel the jitters taking over. At this rate, I would be full melt before dawn. Take a break, I finally said. Do some crafting, see if you can come up with some kind of weapon. I laid 2 sticks at my crafting table, and I tried a few cobblestone combos. Now a familiar shovel hovered before me, and then the hoe, then the pickaxe, and then after arranging 3 blocks in an L shape around the top of the stick, I saw an image of an axe. 2 in 1, I had nodded, snatching the weapon from the air. Maybe it would work on a tree and a zombie's neck. I felt good to know I now had something to defend myself with, but even better to know was keeping my mind occupied was the least defense against the shakes. And so I kept crafting instead of digging. I'm soon very glad I did. I tried messing around with nothing but cobblestone, seeing if I could make a bomb-proof rock version of my door. But I got instead was a plain gray box with 2 vertical slots in the front. I figured I might have another crafting aid, maybe an instant upgrader to make older tools into better ones. I placed the cobblestone into an upper slot and my wooden pickaxe underneath. Suddenly a new pool vanished in a blaze of orange-yellow flames. Fire! I began, before bumping my head again. I laughed as I did jump-free happy dance. Then I leaned into the face, warming glow. Fire! This is the final piece of the holy trinity of human evolution. Tool-making, agriculture, and the little piece of the sun. This is what saved our ancestors the coldest winters, and what protected us from the fiercest predators. I pictured a group of hairy, filthy, grateful cave dwellers huddled around and covered in glow, warming their hands and cooking their food. Cooking! This new device was a furnace. The bottom slot was fuel, and the top for whatever needed heating. Sure enough, the cobblestone I put an upper slot now fused back into a solid monolith. As the fire died, I reached carefully for the block, ready to drop it before I burned my hand. I didn't. No need. One more quirk of this world is the item cooled the second they left the furnace. Now for the big test, I said, popping the last straw chicken into the top slot of the fresh plank of wood underneath. Once again, without any means of ignition, the flames roared to life. The little shelter filled with sounds and smells of popping grease. I grabbed the fully cooked bird even before the last of the fire itself burned out. I moaned, between salty, moist mouthfuls. Slight heat, now cooked food. You know, I said, tossing a few more planks to the surface. This turned out to be a really good day. A really good day and a really easy video, though. I do have a few tidbits of it I need to go through. So, yeah. So, honestly, yeah, good day, good video. All round good. During it, actually, I even uploaded the video beforehand, because like I said, I'm recording this the night of, and I recorded one more, because I kind of felt like it was good. So today, or, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say it, such a monotone tone. I should instead say, today we read pages 44 to 64, chapters 4 to 5. I totally didn't just do something really stupid without you guys knowing. And next time we'll be reading pages 65 to 80 something, 65 to 86, chapters 6 to 7. Now, this has been all well and good, don't get me wrong, and plus I have to add 2 more zeros to 6 and 2 more zeros to 7, or 1 0 to 6 and 1 to 7. But honestly, I think this is another good lesson. Even when it looks grim and even when stuff looks bad, keep going. Because, you know, maybe there's something new. Maybe you can change something about something else. Maybe you can change something about someone. If you think someone needs help, go and help them, please. I encourage anyone to see, if you see someone in danger or hurt, go and help them. Because, I mean, that makes you a better person. It makes you a good person. But I don't think I need to teach you that lesson now. What I need to teach you is what we're learning in... Learning Corner of the Day, doing it up Stonsey's way. Pop. Speaking of stone, today we are reading about the greyhound. And by stone, I mean the color gray. That's kind of my color of choice. So the greyhound would hold a special place in my heart, if not for the fact they always look like they're starving to death. I mean, seriously, you could feed these dogs a banquet of food, and you could still see their rib cage. Their stupid, skinny little rib cage. Now, before you can make fun of anything, or have a serious opinion on something, you should always read about its history. The reasons why are, it looks better for credibility, you look smarter in front of your grandma, your grandpa, your dog, and your cat, and you just are a smarter individual with the history of things. So, the history of the greyhound is that one of the first types of dogs selected bred by humans was a sighthound, a dog that could run after a catch of game by outrunning it. The prototypical sighthound has always been the greyhound. Greyhound-like dogs have been depicted since ancient Egyptian, Greek, and Roman times. The name greyhound had come from Graius, meaning Greek, or Latin, and the Latin gradus, denoting high grade. By Saxon time, greyhounds were well established in Britain and were valued by both commoners and their ability to put food on the table and by nobility for the sport of the chase. In 1014, the forest laws prohibited all but nobility from keeping greyhounds near royal forests unless they had been lamed. These laws remained in effect for 400 years. Even when they were repealed, the greyhounds remained the dogs of nobility because of the growing importance of agriculture and domestic animal food sources. The running dog was not economically advantageous. Instead, greyhounds were used for coursing, hare sport, and during the 1800s, coursing became the consuming pastime of the upper class. Early American immigrants often brought greyhounds with them to the New World. They were proved adept for coursing in open plains. When coursing was made available to the masses by staging it, at first in closed parks and then on tracks in the mechanical lure, the greyhound's fate was sealed. Track racing, which began in 1926, proved so popular that the dogs were bred specifically for short bursts of speed, ultimately resulting in fastest breed of dog. Greyhounds continue to compete at dog shows, which they have done since the 1870s. They were AKC recognized, or American Kennel Company recognized, in 1885. The breed soon became divided into show and racing types, which are seldom interbred in America, and the greyhound is one of the least popular breeds according to the AKC registrations of show stock. Wow. The National Greyhound Association, NGA, registers many thousands of greyhounds annually. However, the recently retired races of NGA stock have become popular as pets. So, unpopular in the show, but popular as pets. So now that you know about this interesting breed of dog and its, harrowing rules, you now want to own it. Oh, I want a dog that breaks the law, break it is the law for 400 years running. So what is the temperament, Stone? How do I keep this dog up and running? Well, how do I keep this dog in check? Well, the temperament of the greyhound is that it's known to the world's fastest couch potato. The greyhound is quiet, calm, and extremely well-mannered indoors. They are good with other dogs and with other pets if raised with them. Outdoors, they tend to chase any small thing that moves. They are reserved to strangers, very sensitive and sometimes timid. Despite their independent nature, they are eager to please. Aww. So they're timid. So I guess it depends on the owner. So if you see this dog being very shy, maybe keep an eye on that owner. Could be aggressive. Now, what's the upkeep? I'm a good owner, and I want to keep this dog well and healthy, even though they will never look it. Well, the upkeep of the greyhound is that it needs daily exercise, but it is a sprinter, not an endurance runner. It can thus be met with a chance of run or by a longer walk on a leash. It loves to run and chase outdoors, and it easily run into danger at great speed unless exerted in a safe area. It is not generally amenable to living outdoors. Greyhounds relish creature comforts and must have soft bedding and warmth. The coat is extremely easy to care for, needing only occasional brushing to remove dead hair. Wow. Now, for any children listening and you just want to see the puppy dog, keep looking at the puppy dog and cover your ears. For any adults watching, please, or any adults or teenagers watching, please grab a notebook because it's time to learn about the health of the greyhound. Their major concerns are nothing. Their minor concerns are esophageal achalasia, gastric torsion, and osteosarcoma. They're occasionally seen with nothing. Their suggested tests are nothing, though I would say checking of the stomach would be good. Their lifespan are 10 to 13 years, and a personal note for this dog is that racing injuries, especially toe hock and muscle injuries, are common. So there are common concerns. I don't know why it doesn't say that. In retired NGA dogs, both NGA AKC greyhounds are sensitive and barbiturate anesthesia are prone to lacerations of tail tip injuries. Okay. Now you don't have a kid, but you want to know the form and function. Imagine these pictures on there. What is the form and function of this dog? Well, the form and function is that the ultimate running dog, the greyhound, is built for speed. Its long legs and arched back enable it to contract and stretch maximally while executing a double suspension gallop. It is tremendous muscle mass and light legs, further enhancing speed. The feet are long and narrow and given maximum leverage. The long tail serves as a rudder and brake when running at high speeds. The coat is short and smooth. Two types of greyhounds are available, AKC show and NGA racing. Retired NGA greyhounds are smaller, sturdier, and faster than show dogs and may be more inclined to chase small animals. Wow, like a car, you can get these in retired. Interesting. Now, for at a glance. Let me explain this because this is a tier list. 5 is the best, 4 is better, 3 is average, 2 is worse, 1 is the worst, and unless it is for grooming. Not that we're going to see any 5s or 4s this time around. For the energy levels out of 2, the exercise requirements, playfulness, affection level, and friendliness towards dogs are out of 3. Friendliness towards other dogs are out of 2. Friendliness towards strangers is out of 3. Ease of training is out of 3. Wow, pretty easy. Watchdog ability and protection ability is out of 2. Grooming requirements, which is good, is out of 1. Cold tolerance is out of 1, and heat tolerance are out of 2, which is the first time I think I've seen both of them lower or higher, or changed at the same time. Now, the weight of a male greyhound is 60 to 70 pounds, and a female greyhound is 60 to 65 pounds. The height of a male should be 27 to 29 inches, and a female is 26 to 28 inches, though I do think it is varying if it is a racer or a show dog. Wow, this next dog looks the same as the other few dogs that we've been looking at, and it is the dog we'll be learning about in the next episode. So, I hope you guys have a super fantastic, wonderful day. Be efficient. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you can't tell, my voice is slowly dying, but it should be back by tomorrow night, where we're going to be reading in the next episode. Bye-bye!